You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
George looking up. See ya. 3000 history.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof.
Looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the man. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Yes, welcome back to the show. This is Sports and Sorts, episode 123. 1, 2, 3. And we have the Bry Man back. He's back with us. I'm Shane Moore. I'm one of your hosts. And, of course, the bearded one is with us once again. He is not fired.
I'm here.
Oh, he was just a contract dispute.
Yeah.
And he sat
We had to
on
come
the
to
sidelines. We had to come to terms. And he is getting paid double what he used to make before, which is still zero.
Still zero.
2 times 0 is zero. Much more perks, though. Much more perks. I need to take a sip of my coffee real quick because it has been a very stressful last 30 minutes or so with trying to get this show up and running. Lots of technical difficulties, as you saw if you looked at our post on Facebook. We're having some serious Skype technical difficulties. Skype-occulties, I guess that you would call them. But we will get into this show right away. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of Monday Night Football, and Major League Baseball to talk about. We have the Damian Dydyn coming on in a little bit. He's going to give us his analytical approach to the series that is upon us, which is the Red Sox Yankees. He will also get into his picks for the MVP and Cy Young. We will get into ours as well. And we are going to talk football because we are going to end the show with football. Sunday is coming up right around the corner. Tomorrow we will give you our picks of what's going on this week, and we will also, of course, touch on Sunday Night Football because that is the game that we always talk about. It's a primetime game, and Bryman is leading the charge right now with 11 wins on the season. I have 8. So I am still struggling to get caught up to him. How's it going?
Yeah,
man?
I'm less concerned about that. I want to be above 500 because if I beat you, that doesn't. I mean, okay, I need to at least get like above. Don't worry, Joe. We're going to start with the Yankees and Red Sox. We're just touching on a little bit of football wrap up here. We're starting with Yankees Sox though. Yeah. Don't worry. Don't you worry about it, Joe.
Relax. Take a chill pill, Joe. He's been on edge. He's been on edge lately. I can understand. He's been very anxious. I mean, it's the Yankees, Red Sox. He's firing off like crazy on this Yankees group chat that I am now a part of.
You're fully ensconced at this point.
I have to tell you, there's a lot more not Yankee related stuff than I thought there would be.
We try not to, but sometimes it just happens.
It happens, and it's happened quite a bit lately. So you gotta come on, Joe. You invited me to this. It's supposed to be the Yankees group chat, and I'm getting a lot of other stuff. And sometimes I just start tuning it out because I'm like, they're talking about this again. They're talking about this. It's on another tangent. Come on, Joe. What's going on, buddy? You invited me to this Yankee group chat.
Well, the one yesterday was my fault because I started that.
Which one was this? Which one was it?
The one about Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, still,
I started that.
I
like beer.
Yes. You know what? Matt Damon is now. He is.
I wish I had a glass of water to violently drink right now.
Do that at the end of the show. so you can clean yourself
I
up.
don't
You
have
don't,
any water.
you don't have to sit there and be all soaked throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
Blame Brian. Okay.
No, yesterday, well, he's right. Yesterday was my fault. That's true.
Okay.
But let's get into it.
All right.
I like beer, Joe.
He just put a beer mug on good to times. All right. Okay, so we got a great show. Let's go. Nope.
Nope.
I'm doing that like crazy lately. What's the matter with me?
Bry man.
Nope. That's not the one.
That's going to have to be part of the show from now on. Nope.
Nope.
It's like 3 times in a row. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. All right, so first things first, we will get into Yankees Red Sox. That happened last night. Chris Sale pitched. He pitched well. He probably pitched better than a lot of people thought he was going to pitch.
Not me.
I know, not you. I didn't think he pitched all that great. To be honest, he got a lot of help from the umpire. He was kind of wild. More wild than I would expect him to be. He seemed like he was overthrowing, and I think that was to get up to that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, which made him a little more wild. He got a lot of help from the umpire, especially on those sliders on the outside half of the plate. He got a lot of low ball calls early, which helped him a lot. Happ, on the other hand, did not pitch. He didn't pitch like we had seen him pitch lately. And, that's always in Fenway, there's always a chance that a softer throwing lefty is going to come into trouble in Fenway. Someone who is, known for their pinpoint accuracy and who can climb the ladder in the strike zone. If you're not pinpoint, that is going to make trouble in Fenway. So, that's something that David Price has come to know over the last several years. Is if you are not able to make if you're not going to have your pinpoint control, you're going to be in trouble. So we'll see what happens today. They're obviously playing the primetime game tonight again, rightfully so. It's the Yankees Red Sox, so
Major League Baseball has no respect for the other teams in this postseason.
Well, when it comes down to it, there is no other rivalry in sports that rivals this. And you could even go Lakers, Celtics. Nope, doesn't rival it. I'm sorry, in any sport, when it comes down to the Yankees and Red Sox, there is no other two teams that have the history like the Yankees and the Red Sox. There's no sport. And
this is only the 4th time ever that this has happened. So
they just have this heated rivalry that it can't be duplicated in any other sport. I'm sorry. It's just what a fact is right there. That is a hashtag true fact. All right. So Yankees Red Sox. They're playing, but first I want to get into the Cy Young MVP. I just want to roll through it real quick. Give me who your MVP favorites are for the year. I just want to go through this. We won't take more than 3 minutes for both of us.
Well, very easy. This was pretty easy, actually, for me on both sides. In the American League, I think it's Mookie Betts. He's just such a catalyst for that team. Mm-hmm. He does everything. Steals bases, hits home runs, hits for average. He's the straw that stirs the drink in Boston, and that's saying a lot when you consider that you had a guy on that team in JD Martinez who hit 43 home runs and drove in 120 runs, and but Mookie's the guy that gets it going. He's the guy that gets it started. He's an absolute menace in terms of just the tenacity that he has in general. When he's at the plate, when he gets on base, he stole 30 bases. He's a 30-30 guy. It wasn't a slam dunk because, it's kind of like the LeBron thing because you've got Trout there, and Trout's going to be in the discussion all the time, every year, as long as he's even remotely healthy. And we ran into this debate a couple of years ago. And I remember at the time, I thought Betts was the MVP, and I thought that Trout was the runner-up, and it ended up being the other way around. And this time, if you had asked me maybe even like a month ago, I probably would have said, okay, this time I think it's Trout. But the way the season ended, the Red Sox having this historical season, to me it's Betts. I'm putting my chips, I'm putting all my eggs in that basket again.
Yeah.
And I think it's Mookie.
Yeah, and I'm 100% with you. I think that this right now, I think Mookie Betts is it. And, I had this conversation kind of I think it was briefly with Damian recently. It might not have been Damian, but it was about JD Martinez. And I was like, I'm just surprised that he actually made it through the whole season. And I think it was him that told me, the DH is a wonderful thing. And that's it right there. That is right there what basically took and gave Mookie Betts that one little line that he had said was the one that I said, yep, you know what? That makes Mookie Betts a more valuable player because he can play both sides of the ball. And that right there, they had, he obviously led the league in average. JD Martinez was, I think, first in RBIs and second in home runs, something along those lines. And that right there, because he plays both sides of the ball, and you take that away from him, it's like with David Ortiz. He couldn't play the field every day because then he wouldn't be healthy and he'd only give you 100 games. Right. And that must be what's going on with JD Martinez. So because of that, that's why I say that he is going to be Mookie Betts is going to be the MVP. Now, when we go to Cy Young in the AL, it comes down to two pitchers, Blake Snell and Justin Verlander. And to be honest, I would, even though Blake Snell had a fantastic season, I think he's going to win it. But I would give it to Justin Verlander for one. He's been doing this forever. Two, he K'd the most batters in the league. He had a higher K per nine than Blake Snell. He did it in a more meaningful way because he played on a better team, although Blake Snell did play in the toughest division. So I think that with having the target on your back of being World Series champions and still coming out and dominating the way he did at this age and doing it in such dominant fashion, I would give it to Verlander, but I think Blake Snell's going to win.
Well, then we're on the same page because I think it's Snell, and I think Snell deserves it. Actually, I know the Rays finished third in this division, but in any other division of baseball, they would have been
a playoff team,
highly competitive, if not a playoff team, in the mix to win a division.
Didn't they end up with a better record than the Indians?
I think they did. I'm pretty sure they did. I mean, they were a 90-win team. They were a 90-plus win team. But look, I think Snell just had a special season this year. He hit the 20-win plateau mark, which that doesn't happen a lot anymore. It shows durability. I know he didn't have a ton of innings pitched, at least in comparison to I think Verlander and maybe even some of the other starters, but he was very effective, very low ERA. It wasn't, look, this wasn't a slam dunk for me, but I still feel pretty comfortable in saying like he was the MVP. On the National League side, it was much more of a slam dunk for me, which is ironic considering the guy that I think we're both going to give it to in the National League literally won half the amount of games that Blake Snell won. But for me, it was Snell. He was on a 90-plus win team, a team that would have competed in any other division for a division crown. And he had all the stats are all there. I mean, all the numbers are there to back it up. So to me, it's just kind of I think it's just sort of a toss-up, really. But I think a lot of people will go in a number of different directions. But if you're asking me who I think, like you, is going to win, I have to give it to Snell.
Okay. All right. Now we'll move on over to the NL. NL MVP race, NL Cy Young. I want to start with the Cy Young because it's more of a hot topic, really, because you have Jacob deGrom, who's probably the favorite to win this. And based on his incredible season and his ERA, which was like 1.7?
1.7, I think, yeah.
Which is outrageous. But at the same point, he didn't. I don't know if he really helped improve his team, which I know that's not part of the metrics that go apart.
It's not, but
because it's not like they won any more games with him on the hill. And it was actually kind of laughable because a lot of people were making fun of the Mets because every time he pitched, they wouldn't score at all.
They did not score. And worst run support I've ever seen.
And it sucks for him. I personally would probably give this game to Max Scherzer. We give the Cy Young to Max Scherzer basically because of his dominance on the mound, pitching more innings, and striking out 300 batters in a season. That to me is a huge deal. His ERA was still very low twos. Their whips were almost identical. Ks per nine were higher. His Ks to walk were similar. So I would give it to Mad Max, but there's no way. This is being steamrolled with Jacob deGrom. He is just going to run away with this. He has had that season. He's going to get it. I'm fine with it, but I would pick Mad Max.
I would pick DeGrom, and I think DeGrom is going to win. And the one stat that I'll just give you the one stat that I thought was just completely nuts, which was that if the Mets had scored 4 more runs in any of his performances, he would have been like 26 without, which I just think was completely insane. Mm-hmm. That's just, and then even if it was 3 runs, he still would have had like 20 plus wins. It was that they did that whole breakdown there, and it was crazy. But I mean, the guy had no run support at all, and he was dominant. I mean, it was sort of like a poor man's version of what Steve Carlton did. Yeah. You know, for the Phillies when they won, 59 games and he won 27 of them. Mm-hmm. It wasn't quite like that. Like I said, it was a poor man's version of it because the Mets won more games and he only won 10 or 11 or whatever he won. But the dominance, though, was just the thing there. And the Cy Young Award, like the MVP, is a regular season award. It's based on what you do in the regular season. It has whether or not your team makes the playoffs has no bearing on consideration for it. At least that's how it's supposed to be. And for me, this was actually really easy. I mean, it seems hard to believe that a guy can win 10, 11 games and be like a runaway Cy Young Award winner, but that is the sort of metrics-based, system that we live in now with especially with Major League Baseball, which is such a statistically heavy sport. Right. And we look at those numbers and we put a lot of credence in them, but he passed the eyeball test too. I mean, if you watch the guy pitch, he's great. Yep. He's one of the best in the game, if not the best in the game. Okay.
All right. Now we'll move on to the MVP. My MVP for me in the NL it's Christian Yelich. The reason why, because one, he did everything that you need an MVP to do, which is to have an MVP win the award, which is being like a top 5 for all the major categories. Average, RBIs, runs scored, and I don't know if he was there in run scored, but he was there in average and he was there in home runs and RBIs, and because of that, and on top of that, he did what you also need, which is become hot in the second half. And he did that. So he did those 2 things. Those 2 are off. So I think because of that, the Matt Carpenters, the Javier Baez's, and all that kind of stuff, they were crossed off my list because he checked all those boxes.
Oh yeah, this was the slam dunk of these 4, in my opinion. Yelich in a runaway, and also let's consider this too. The guy gets traded at the beginning of the season from the Marlins to the Brewers, goes to a completely new team, a completely new division, and it's like just one of the most seamless transitions you can possibly imagine. He's the leader in almost every major statistical category. Basically, a 3-run home run would have separated him from a Triple Crown. Yep. I mean, that's how close it was. Or even a 2-run home run in that last play-in game.
2 home runs. He needed 2 home runs.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, he needed 2. But I mean, like, imagine that situation, though, getting traded from a mess of a team in the Marlins, going to a Brewer team that you really have no idea how that team's going to end up, and having that kind of a performance. I'm sorry, that's as easy a slam dunk as you can possibly imagine. I mean, he should win. I'm not saying it's going to be unanimous, but he really should, because Baez is going to get a lot of votes.
He will get votes.
Carpenter will get some. But
Yelich
should win this in a total walk, though. Yeah. Just an absolute. He should run away with this.
Okay. So we're both on the same page there. We're going to bring Damian Dydyn in about 3 minutes. So we gave you all our MVP and Cy Young picks. We're going to hear what Damian has to say, and then right after that, we're getting right into the Yankees and Red Sox. We're going to hear what Damian has to say about the series. Obviously, the Red Sox are up 1-0 in this 5-game series. So all wins are very necessary. I had on the Yankee text last night, I had said, this is, and we have talked about this in the past when it comes to playoffs. It's your job to beat a team on the road when you're on the road. Like, you have to beat them. That happens in basketball. It happens in baseball. You need to win on their field in order to really give yourself an advantage. If you just win the games at home, unless you are the home team, you're not going to win because we're only getting 2 games at home. So we need that 3rd game. We have to win on the road. And as Yankee fans, we have to win on the road. All right, so let's get I'm going to call Damian now. And as we're doing that, do you have anything that you want to say about yesterday's game before we, anything quick? Before we get him on?
Well, as you can see, I'm wearing my hockey jersey now because baseball season is officially over, and it's time to start thinking about the Blackhawks, who are unfortunately only 1-1, but, it's all right.
We'll get to talk about LeBron soon.
That's fine. Him and the Lakers in that Laker uniform, that'll be fun. The Spurs are going to be at best an average team, so yeah, it's great. I'm so excited about baseball and football being over already.
All right, so let me see if I can call Damian here. Where is he? We haven't talked to him in such a long time. All right, so there is Damian. Wait. No. There he is. Start call. All right. Can you hear me, Brian? Brian?
Hey, fellas.
Oh, I lost Brian. Hold on. I clicked the wrong thing. Hold on. We are live, and this is going great, but I lost Brian.
We'll do it live without Brian.
We'll do it live. Why isn't this working? All right. I'm going to hang up with you real quick. Hang up, and I'll call you back the right way.
You want video or audio?
Audio.
All right.
Brian? Bueller? Brian?
I'm here.
Okay. I messed up. I clicked the wrong thing. Now we'll do it right.
Okay. I've got barking dogs, so this is working out well.
Alrighty. Are you there?
Oh.
Hey, there you are. Can you hear him?
Yes, I hear.
You hear him. Okay, excellent. All right, now we're here. And we have Damian Dydyn. And Damian Dydyn is a guest that we've had on multiple occasions. And we call him the Beautiful Mind because he has a beautiful mind. He really goes to that Russell Crowe level and gives you an insight and analytically that baffles a lot of people, including myself sometimes. But yes, he's here. He's the Beautiful Mind. I can't find your clip anywhere. I don't know what happened to it. It's like you're on for a little while, and
It went wherever you sent Brian a minute ago.
Yeah. Yes, it must
To
have.
the Phantom Zone?
And now, we bring you a
there it
beautiful
is.
mind.
There we go.
Damian Dydyn.
There we go.
Damian Dydyn.
I've always believed in numbers, in equations and logic, leading to reason.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
That's my
Truly, he
favorite
does
part.
have a dizzying intellect. So, Damian, we just got done talking about the MVP and Cy Young race.
I was listening.
We both picked our guys, and we gave who we thought was going to win. So,
Which were all the same, which was kind of crazy.
pretty much. Who do you have in your analytical brain? Who do you have in this?
AL MVP was it's close. I've got bets. I think Trout winning it would not be a travesty. They're almost tied. And actually, what it came down to for me, I don't like using teams that are in the playoff mix as a determining factor unless it's basically a tie. At which point, I pick the guy who's on a playoff team, and this year that was Betts. But I mean, you look at Trout and Betts; their seasons were basically identical this year. I mean, there's some fluctuations. Trout had a few more home runs. Mookie had some more steals. Mookie had a lot more runs scored. But overall value, I mean, you look at something like Fangraphs WAR, it was 10.4 to 9.8. That's within a standard deviation. That's not really that big a difference. So I went with Trout, I went with Betts, not with Trout, over Trout, even though I typically lean towards Trout in these closer races because I'm just a giant fanboy and I don't think he's appreciated enough, despite the fact that he's the best player on the planet. But it's nice to root for the hometown guy, so I'll take Mookie this year. For the Cy Young in the AL, I'm going for Verlander. I know you both were talking about Snell. He's not on my ballot for the IBWAA, and the reason is his innings pitched total. And that's also the reason I didn't have Sale on my ballot. I think innings pitched is a huge part of being the best pitcher in the league. And you look at Snell had about 180 thrown. I think Sale was something like 157 or whatever that ended up being. So despite the fact that that Sale had the I'm still here.
All right, you're breaking up.
Despite the fact that despite the fact that Sale would have had the second highest WAR total in the AL, he wasn't even on my ballot because of the innings pitched. So it was the same reason that I didn't have Snell there. But look, Verlander's had a phenomenal year. It's hard to argue against him. It's despite the fact that he lost some velocity a few years back, he came back to being that dominant pitcher. This is also sort of a self-correcting thing. A couple years ago, I didn't have him winning the MVP over Porcello, and probably dismissed him a little too easily in that year. So this is you can see this is a little bit of a self-correction. In the NL, I know you both hate this, but I've got Jacob deGrom. And I know that you're tying your opposition to this to his win total, and I know Brian talked about this a little bit with the run support. But I mean, this is a guy who allowed 2 runs or fewer 26 times this year. He set the record for the most games started in a row with 6 innings pitched and 3 or fewer runs scored. That's insane. I mean, I agree that Scherzer had a great season and that Cy Young is not a complete blowout. But on the MVP side, Yelich is close, and I think Yelich is going to win, and that's more because of the way they select the voters for the postseason awards. They've got a pool of voters. They pull around 30 of them out, and those 30 are the ones who do the actual voting, not the entire BWAA. Depending on the leanings of those voters, you might get people who are more analytically minded. You might get people who are not. So you have a season like where Felix won it in, was it 2012, 2013, whatever it ended up being, where he had 13 wins and won the Cy Young. That kind of thing can happen. Mike Trout won an MVP in a year in which he, wasn't on a winning team because he had analytical voters pulled that year for him. So it's going to come down to who the voters are, but I think it's probably more likely that Yelich wins it. And if he does, it's not a travesty. It's not, it's not an affront to analytics or anything. He had a phenomenal season. But I mean, you look at what DeGrom did this year, and Brian's right. If the Mets score just 3 runs every time he's out, he's got 26 wins. That's insane. I mean, they averaged 4.17 runs per game this year, and they couldn't muster up 2 runs of support in 21 of his games. It was insane. So
I think the real thing that drives me crazy about that is why. Why does this happen? It happens to good pitchers sometimes. Like it happened to Chris.
It's
Sale.
random luck.
Had happened to Chris
I
Sale,
promise you, there's.
But it happened to him a lot
because he was on bad teams. Those White Sox teams were not good.
But why don't they score as much as they normally do? That's the problem. That's
That's random distribution. I mean, that's just the way
it's
happen.
Well,
it's going to happen.
Isn't it also possible though that when DeGrom pitches, the opposing team also has their ace going? So, I mean, the Mets are less likely to hit well against a better pitcher.
Typically line up their aces in the regular season. They line up at the beginning of the year, and then things kind of fall how they do. And because teams typically start the season with their number one guy on the mound, those matchups do tend to happen maybe a little more often. But I think it's probably more likely that there's a slight psychological effect where, we've got our dominant, unbelievable pitcher on the mound. We can take a slight breath at the plate today because he's not going to allow as many runs. That might be a factor, but that's not a ding against your best pitcher. That's actually an endorsement of how good they are. I don't like holding the quality of the team around a player against them in an individual award like the MVP or the Cy Young. I don't think that's fair to the player, and I tend to lead toward context neutral stats. That's kind of an analytics mindset, and I know that's not how everybody thinks, but I don't like tying something like pitcher wins, which I've heard the argument that pitcher's job is to win the game. I've heard you say that, Shane, but it's really not their job because pitcher wins are not team wins. It's not the same thing. They're not calculated the same. They don't mean the same thing. For me, pitcher wins are kind of they're an outdated stat. I would be happy if they went away. I know that the vast majority of baseball fans will disagree with that, but I don't see the value in pitcher wins as a stat. So when you look at a record like 10-9 and use that as part of your calculus, I don't think that's fair to the pitcher.
Yeah, see, I am on the side of pitchers' wins don't mean as much as they used to, but I still think that it means that your pitcher is going deep into games, and if he has a decent amount of wins, he's going deep into games. He's putting his team in a position to win the game, and that's what
I agree with that.
And that's what you really want. I don't care if it's 0-0 when you leave the game in the 7th inning, or 1-0 or 0-1. But if you're putting your team in a position to have success as a starting pitcher, I think that's a big deal.
Then I think you should be using quality starts, not wins.
Well, that's what I was gonna bring up. Is quality starts, 6 innings, 3 runs. I mean, to me, that shows that you're consistently giving that
but
kind of effort.
I don't like quality
in
starts either, because I think giving up 3 runs is too much. So
well, it is.
I'm not a big fan of quality starts. I don't like the metric because I don't think it shows an actual quality start. I think if you're giving up 3 runs in 6 innings, that's a bad ERA. So I think that's not a good metric either. That's just
I don't think either of them are great, but I think quality starts is a more consistent and a stat that requires less of your team doing well than pitcher wins. So I like it better than pitcher wins, but I don't really love either of them.
Yeah. Well, that's I guess a topic for another day. All right. So let's. So did you give us all of your picks across the board? Or did you just do AL?
I did AL, and I alluded to my Cy Young pick was Jacob deGrom, which is pretty obvious. I'm picking him for the MVP. Scherzer had a great season, and if he wins the Cy Young again, it's not some giant travesty. But I think deGrom should win both.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that deGrom's going to win it. He wouldn't be my pick for this year just because of that 300 strikeout total is staggering to me. It's something that. It doesn't happen a lot, and that was impressive to see. And even Verlander had a dominant season, a phenomenal season, and only had 280 Ks, which is that's just he still was 20 off, and that is multiple starts to get to that 300 level. So I just think it's so impressive. And I think deGrom was was he 260 something? 267 or
total,
something?
Here, I've actually got it up right here. He had strikeouts. Oh, I'm on the dashboard page. Hold on. Fangraphs doesn't do it terribly.
Yeah, so I mean, he had I think 260.
269.
Yeah, so that's 3 or 4 starts more that it would take him to get to that 300 total, and that's never going to happen. He's not going to get 38 starts in a year. So it's just a very impressive stat to me. And as far as Cy Young, when you don't need to be the MVP, which is you don't have to be the most valuable pitcher to your team. And that's why I think deGrom is going to probably win it. But I think that dominant fashion with the strikeouts just gets you out of so many jams. All right, so let's move on to the Yankees Red Sox. Obviously, the Red Sox took the lead 1-0 against the Yankees last night.
Ugly game.
And it was an ugly game. It started off with J.A. Happ not pitching how we had kind of seen him. I said earlier that I thought that it's always dangerous when you throw somebody that's a lefty in that ballpark and doesn't hit his spots. And J.A. Happ didn't really hit his spots. He wasn't crisp yesterday, and it got dangerous, and it did. He ended up giving up 5 runs. And the bullpen, our bullpen came in. They held him down. Your bullpen came in after Sale had a pretty good game.
And did what our bullpen does.
And they did the hashtag blowpen, like I like to call them, the hashtag blowpen.
And I can't disagree with it.
Every single time they scored a run off the blowpen, I put in that Yankee text group, hashtag blowpen, hashtag blowpen.
I can disagree with it. Who won the game? I mean, you can say whatever you want about how many runs
they barely survived a 5-0 lead.
I don't care. They won. A win is a win.
You would be as a Yankee fan.
Did not break.
As a Yankee fan, you'd be going nuts today if the Yankees did that.
We're not talking about the Yankees. We know what the Yankees bullpen is.
Right.
The Red Sox bullpen, yes, they are good. They're definitely better than the Red Sox pen, but the Red Sox won the game. They bent, but they didn't break.
I think it easily could have gone the other way. Easily could have gone the other way. There were separate. There were 2 bases.
Because as long as that bullpen has to face Giancarlo Stanton, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, see, that's ridiculous. Because he's going to strike out a lot, but every once in a while he's going to hit a ball.
What? It doesn't count.
700 feet. So what?
The only time Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run this year,
still there?
mostly in garbage time.
Yeah.
I mean, Stanton hit a 450-foot bomb the other night against Oakland, and they were already up 6-2. That's a Giancarlo Stanton / A-Rod home run. That's what Giancarlo Stanton is.
Mo Vaughn made that famous. Mo Vaughn used to do that all the time. He would hit. They would be down or up by 7 runs.
Garbage time home runs?
And he'd hit 2 home runs late in the game. That's Mo Vaughn. He made that famous. So he just did that all the time.
Stanton did his, and I just said this a few minutes ago on the Yankees text thing, but Stanton did his best Carlos Beltran last night. 1, 2, 3.
Well, that was a terrible at bat. I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, he sat there and watched 3 balls that were well within the strike zone. But
I wouldn't dignify that by actually labeling it as an at bat. I mean, it was an appearance, sort of.
It was a plate appearance,
I guess. That's all that.
So, all right, dive into this. Let's get your analytics going, or even if you wanted to get like personal with this, like how you feel. Tell us how are you feeling today with a 1-0 lead going into this 5-game series? You got who's pitching for you guys tonight?
It's Price versus
it is Price, right? Okay.
Tanaka.
I thought it was Andrew Price. He was kind of lurking on the dugout, and he's a very similar style pitcher. He throws a little bit harder than Happ, but very similar in having to have his pinpoint control. Obviously, doesn't pitch well against the Yankees, but how do you see this series playing out from here forward? Even after your shaky bullpen situation.
Well,
bullpen,
before the bullpen made an appearance, before the series started, I had this going 5, and I thought it was going to be a tough series. And I think that there's going to be at least one blowout win for each team. And I had the Red Sox winning in 5, but it's not easy. And if it goes the other way, it's not going to surprise me. This game tonight, Tanaka has historically done well against the Red Sox, right?
Yeah.
And especially in the postseason, like he does not shrink in October. He doesn't have trouble. Price historically has, and I don't think that's necessarily predictive, but it is what's happened so far. And you look at Price, in his career against the Yankees in the regular season, even has got a 4.90 ERA, right? I mean that's over 250 innings pitched. That's not a small sample. He has not handled the Yankees, and until he actually goes out and handles the Yankees, it's hard to be confident that he's going to. So tonight's game, I think the Yankees are going to pull out a win. I think Tanaka's going to do what he typically does, and he's going to shut the Red Sox offense down, and he's going to throw 6 innings or so and allow 1, maybe 2 runs, and the Yankees are going to put a big number up in the 3rd or 4th inning or so, and chase David Price out early, and then you're going to have that Red Sox bullpen out there trying to squeeze out 5 or so innings, and that's just not going to go well.
Okay. And so you have the Yankees kind of evening the series right here. I'm with you here. I think that there is a good chance that they take. I've never seen David Price pitch well, really, against the Yankees on a consistent basis. And on top of that, you have Tanaka on the other hand, who has been pitching in big games for a long time. You're talking the WBC, where he was hands down the most dominant pitcher that year, and then he comes in and he has done a good job in big spots, particularly in the playoffs for us. So I'm hoping to see that same kind of pitcher tonight. And, David Price, like you said, has never pitched well, and he's never pitched really well in the playoffs either. He hasn't shown that since he was a reliever back with the Rays, that he has been a decent playoff pitcher. So I'm with you there.
Now, the reason that I have at least a little bit of hope for tonight is that Price has gone through a transformation sort of like Verlander did, where he lost some velocity and he had to reinvent himself a little bit, mess with his arsenal, find a different approach. And the second half of the season, he's been absolutely excellent. His ERA in the second half is something like 2.5. So, I mean, he's made a change that I'm hoping carries forward into the playoffs. We'll see tonight. But it's hard with his history to be anything less than cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I don't expect it to be a blowout tonight. But I expect it to be something like yesterday. I think it's going to be something like 5-3 or something like that, 5-2.
I could easily see the Yankees putting up double digits.
Well, they could, yeah, of course. I mean, with that lineup, when you have everybody in your lineup who has 25 or more home runs, of course you could at any given night. It's just in the playoffs, it's more unlikely to happen because the pitching just gets better. And the defense gets better. Everybody's on their toes the whole time. So Brian's over here shaking his head. Has no hope for the Yankees whatsoever.
The season's over. You guys are nuts. It's so funny to hear you talking about this. It's over. This is over. It was over before it began. It was over last night. I mean, they got down 3-0 in the first inning, and I immediately switched right over to the Scream Marathon. I couldn't deal with it. I can't even deal with the stress. Why bother? And look what happened. The Red Sox did win. They held on. It's not like I missed anything. It didn't even get exciting.
Oh, it was exciting for me. I was
very exciting.
I was very fired up.
Coming in with his bat on the shoulder.
Terrified.
Yeah, I was really enjoying the game. I thought it was really good, and seeing Judge go and hit Kimbrel, because Kimbrel has kind of struggled against the Yankees of late. I like this series. The series is going to be good, whether we win or lose. It's going to be a good series. I wouldn't say I'm overly optimistic. I'm just whoever wins this is going to have, it's just going to be a brutal series. I think it's just going to be, it's going to really wear down either team, which is going to hurt them going to the next series.
I was going to say, the one thing that has to worry you regardless of who wins this series, Boston, but the one thing that has to concern you is you're probably going to end up going against the Astros, and the Astros are, not only are they the defending champions, but if yesterday is any indication of anything, they've picked up right where they left off. And
there's no World Series hangover. They came back. They won over 100 games again. And I had Cleveland winning the series, but after last night's game, I'm rethinking it. Kluber is looking like he's just not what he used to be. He's had, I think, 4 straight postseason starts where he struggled.
Yeah. He's not
and if he's not. Yeah, if he's not, he was in 2016. But if he's not on, if he's not what he used to be, then that changes everything for Cleveland. So at this point,
they have a great rotation between Clevenger and you have
Bauer's been great.
Bauer in the bullpen, and then you have Carrasco, who he could be an ace on a lot of teams.
His only issue is health.
Right.
Like he needs to stay healthy. Yeah.
Right. But he's got great stuff. He's got lights out stuff. So and they could literally shut down a team with any of those 4 guys. I mean, any of them. They could shut down a team. So it'll be interesting to see how that series plays out. That's another one that could go pretty deep. But yeah, I loved the Indians, and I loved their offense. I like their defense. I like their
the Donaldson trade changed everything for me.
It did.
Like that, they went from okay, they're a pesky team and you can't look past them to now I'm scared.
Yeah, but I think that's gonna.
If he's healthy,
does he have another year on his contract? Does anybody know? Off the
I
top
don't.
Of my head? Because that would be the scary thing for me for them. Because right now, he just doesn't scare me. He was hurt all year, and even when he came back, he looked bad. So, it's one of those things that unless he is with that team next year, it's not gonna really bother me. Just because he hasn't looked the same, he doesn't look like the same dominant player that he did. So I have to wait until he gets 100% healthy to see if that's gonna really.
He's still in arbitration this year. I don't know if it's his last arbitration year, but he's got a 1-year contract for 2018, which means he was an arbitration player.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now for the rest of the series, how do you see it playing out?
Well, I still have the Red Sox winning. Winning the game 1 obviously helped me to feel a little more confident in that, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough series. The Yankees are not going to go away easily. I know Brian is probably disagreeing with that. He's been talking about them being a hapless team for months now. But I think
team.
A JA hapless team, yeah. I think they're going to grind it out, and it's going to be a tough series. But I think the Red Sox can pull it off, and then we'll see what happens in the next round. I had the Red Sox losing to the Indians, but if it's the Astros, I can see it playing out the same way. I still think this bullpen is a fatal flaw, and I still think it's going to eventually be what undoes them and prevents them from winning a World Series.
Yeah, the Houston Astros are a very scary team because not only do they have good
and their
starting
bullpen
pitching,
is stacked.
they have the best. I think they had the best bullpen ERA in baseball.
They had the best ERA. I mean, just plain. I mean, they had 2 Cy Young candidates. Verlander and Cole. I mean, it's crazy.
Yep.
Damien, I don't know if this will make you feel any better, but every year with my friend Tim, our friend Tim Callahan, our fantasy football guru, I make a postseason bet with him every year, and I win it every year. And if it makes you feel any better, I have the Red Sox winning it all. So I don't know if that's going to help you or not.
You had them winning it all last year too, though.
But I did, but I still won that postseason bet. I had a few bad picks in there, but I've never lost that postseason bet, and so if that helps you at all,
I appreciate the effort, but not really. This bullpen is terrible, and it's gonna if they win, it's gonna be in spite of the bullpen.
Okay.
Well,
All right, so
I mean, how bad could they? They still won 108 games.
All right,
and I get it, but
yeah, the Yankees won 100.
Yeah, but they won like 75 of them.
Now you want to
against
talk
the
about
Orioles,
a team
so.
winning in spite of something? It's the Yankees winning in spite of Aaron Boone. That's
I don't think this is a topic for another day, but just I don't think managers have a huge impact with in-game decisions day to day. I think their biggest impact is how they handle clubhouse, how they prepare the team. So I don't think that Boone is like to have cost them a lot of individual games, but
I think
that's up for debate.
If you had watched as many Yankee games as Shane and I have, and I would say between the two of us, we probably watched almost all of them, I think you would feel differently about some of the decisions.
I went through that last year with John Farrell, right? I mean, John Farrell, it was the prototypical, he's a terrible in-game manager stereotype. Like everybody thought that he cost the Red Sox, a dozen games last year. But I don't think in-game decisions, especially because most of the decisions aren't made by the manager on the spot. They're made by the analytics and scouting departments ahead of time. Like they're referring to plans that were put in place days or weeks ago. So like most of the decisions they make are tweaks on existing plans. So, I mean, it's not like it used to be where the manager was at the helm. The manager is just kind of, making sure the autopilot's still functioning.
That's why you need an analytical manager, someone like, a Tony La Russa, who also has that gut instinct to him. Because
I wish the Yankees could pry him away from the Red Sox.
You can tell when your guy has it or he doesn't. And you can't just listen to the analytics because the analytics say this guy is better than this guy in this given position, not always going to be the case because you don't always have the same stuff. So,
sure.
And that's why you need somebody that can actually feel it out. And Boone just doesn't seem to have that feeling. He doesn't have that gut feeling. It's like he's only relying on the analytics. And if you have that and that's it, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You might win 100 games, but you also they could have. I honestly believe. I don't know. I didn't watch Joey Cora. I didn't watch Cora manage the Red Sox a lot this year because
you're gonna be calling him Joey forever, aren't you?
Yeah, I know. I just want to call him his brother all the time. I don't know why. So I when it comes down, I didn't watch him manage a lot, but I watched Aaron Boone manage a lot, and we literally could have won this division without Aaron Boone as the manager because of a lot of the mistakes that he made throughout the season.
That's the point that I'm making because I think at one point we were counting and it was like 12, 13. We were like, hey, it's been like a baker's dozen wins here.
I stopped counting at 7. I was like,
I just don't think you can chalk those up to the manager specifically or solely. Like I don't think that there's any way the Yankees were winning 109 games.
Then they
I don't care
fire
who
all
was
their
at the
analytical
helm.
people because they're making terrible decisions. Right. Like there's something wrong with their analytics, and I know that.
I still contend that this is the worst 100 win team I've ever seen.
I just think that's a preposterous statement.
They played terrible.
I can't get behind that.
And I understand, like on the surface, that probably sounds really ridiculous, but I believe it. I believe that this team.
The Yankees had 9 wins from last year. I mean, they took a major step forward, and last year was a year where even that many wins were a huge surprise for you.
And what's so funny too is that this year's team is so much more unlikable compared to we loved last year's team. Shane
and what's the difference? Stanton?
Yeah,
Stanton's the big difference, right?
I actually think Stanton is A-Rod all over again. And I think in acquiring him, acquiring him took away a lot of the things that even Yankee haters kind of had to admit that they liked about last year's team. The fact that they were young, they were somewhat underdogs. I mean, I know that's hard with a payroll like that.
I even kind of liked the Yankees last year.
Exactly.
That was a fun team.
That's the point. You're a Red Sox fan, and you didn't even hate the Red Sox last year. Then you go and acquire Stanton, and you become the evil empire again. And
the
so
universe is back in balance.
Yeah, and everything, everything that you thought a year ago about the team kind of goes back to being like, well, now the level of expectation is right back to where it used to be during the dynasty years and even through the early 2000s, which was win or bust.
Which is hilarious because the Red Sox spent $250 million on their salary this year.
The thing for me that really changed it for this year is that we finally got to see the young kids. We got to see the Gleyber Torres and stuff like that come up. And the problem with me that I'm having with the team is not so much Stanton. We're getting what I thought we'd get with Stanton, which is power, RBIs, and he's going to K a ton. Like, I just think in this lineup, it's not going to be like he was in Miami, where they're just going to pitch to him because, you know what? a solo shot or a 2-run shot likely isn't going to win the game for them because they're just a bad team. But I will say,
Purcello just threw him 3 strikes in a row last night. He pitched to him. Right. He didn't avoid him.
Exactly, and I think that's going to happen with Stanton. But the thing with me with the young kids is like I've been down. Particularly in the second half on Gleyber Torres and some of these younger guys, the way that they play. Like Gleyber Torres doesn't seem to be in the game all the time. He seems to be flat-footed a lot. And that's something I can't have from, a second baseman, somebody that's in the middle of the field. That's a very important cog. He just seems like he doesn't do the extra step necessary. Because that's what we have when we always had with Jeter. And I know you can't really compare the two. But with Jeter, right when he came up, he always went that extra step. And that's what you want from your leaders. And Aaron Judge tends to do that, but he was hurt a lot this year. And that makes it difficult to kind of really keep it going. And, with Gleyber Torres and Andujar and, Hicks and stuff like that, making a lot of mental mistakes, it really shows its face. And that's what's really made me more down on this team than I was last year. Like the young kids, and Sanchez letting pass ball after pass ball after pass ball go, batting 180 something. Like that is terrible. And that's what's really kind of made me down on this team this year is because all these people that should be performing at a higher level, they're not. They're not held to my standard, which is, mental mistakes are not something that should happen in this game. You should be prepared mentally. It's the physical mistakes that you can't avoid. Like if you're physically, if you can't make the play, you can't make the play. Or if you get eaten up, you get eaten up. But you have to put yourself in the position for success. And that is mentally, and that's something that you can study and learn.
My biggest issue with this team. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to flip the script on you real quick. I'm also in a text group, like a Red Sox text group, and I have a Slack channel with a bunch of Red Sox fans. We enjoy the games together, and nobody that I talk to about the Red Sox regularly isn't terrified of this Yankees team. I know you sit from a different position with them, but Red Sox fans are terrified of this Yankees team.
It's glad to see that this Yankee text group is very similar to that Red Sox.
Yeah, it is. To illustrate the point, Fangraphs does the thing with win probability throughout the game where it updates as the game goes on.
Oh, that's cool.
And, by the second inning, the Red Sox had more than a 75% chance to win the game, and it never dipped below 75% except for a brief period in the 7th period last night, and then it went back up. The game was never close, according to Fangraphs and win probability, but it didn't feel that way to us. Like, we were terrified last night.
Well, listen, and here's how I guess maybe this is a good segue into my concerns with this Yankee team. And you guys have talked to me enough, and Shane, you know how I feel about this, especially when it comes to the transition from the regular season into the postseason. I've said this a million times, and I apologize if I sound like a broken record, but you know how I am. I always feel like the things that haunt you in the regular season always come back to visit you in the postseason. Always. And I think for the Yankees, those are maybe two primary things. One, Stanton. He's just been – the moment is just either too big for him or he's just too easy to pitch to. And in the postseason, when you face nothing but good pitchers, you're going to get exposed every time. I mean, we all know that there's a formula to get Giancarlo Stanton out. Throw 2 balls outside, throw one in the dirt, finish him off with a slider, and he's toast. He's done. Now, last night was different because he just got 3 strikes thrown to him right down the middle of the plate, and he just looked like a deer in headlights. That's 1. 2, and this is my biggest problem with this Yankees team. And we have seen this all year, and it's the one thing on the text group that I have bitched and complained about all year, is that these are the glass jaw Yankees. They get popped in the mouth early on, and they don't get back up. And you can say whatever you want about last night. They mounted a little bit of a comeback. They had the bases loaded at a couple spots. But just like in the regular season, when they had those opportunities, some of them bases loaded, nobody out, and all they could muster was 1 run on what like a fielder's choice. That to me is a sign of a team that just it's in their heads. Things like that that happen in the regular season and they happen consistently, they will visit you again in the postseason. And I think that you saw already last night, both of those 2 things that concerned me almost the most reared their ugly heads. One, they got popped in the mouth early, couldn't get off the mat, Two, Giancarlo Stanton looks like he just picked up a bat for the first time.
Not about how hard you can hit. How hard you can get it and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
You know, I felt like I made a couple of good points, and then Shane just drags it right back down.
Hey, I'm just happy. My
did?
wife just came in here, gave me a little sugar. I got a little kiss, so she's getting ready to leave. So I'm happy.
Brian, I
ranting
agree
and
with you.
raving just rolled right off my shoulder.
I don't feel like that was a rant or a rave. I felt like those were true facts. Damian,
It
help me.
was,
Hashtag
but
true
that doesn't mean they weren't true. So, Brian, I agree with you that your regular season failings will haunt you in the postseason. And just to flip it around again, for the Red Sox, that's the bullpen. The bullpen was not good in the regular season. It's not good now, and I contend that this is going to be the fatal flaw. And I guess we'll see how it plays out, though.
All right. Well, Damian, thank you for coming on today. We have to get to football because we gotta end this show very soon. So thank you very much for coming on. Thanks for bringing your analytical mind to it, and even talking in some layman's terms for us common folk.
I appreciate it. I'll say hi to PJ and Squee for me.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, Damian. Are we still having that sleepover at Squee's house tonight?
Yes, but bring the beer because I love beer.
You're at Squeeze.
Wait.
I like beer.
Which one of you is Donkey Donk Dunk?
Donkey Dog Doug?
You're Donkey Donk Doug.
Whoa!
Where's Tobin? I feel like...
Is Callahan's Tobin?
Maybe.
All right, thanks a lot, Damian.
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, see you later.
All right, take care. All right, so Damian was on the show for a little while. We got his insight, and now we are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. We're going to play our commercial. We'll be back after that. We will get into football, NFL football stuff.
I like beer.
Coverage drop, deep to left field. Going back towards, looking up. See ya. 3,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman. 75% sports and 25% sorts.
NFL. All right, first off, I'm going to do a quick little thing on Thursday Night Football. Happened a couple days ago. Bryman and I both picked the Patriots to win on Thursday Night Football, and I had the Patriots winning 37-24. Brian had 36-24, and the final score was 38-24. So close. We were so close.
This is what I'm talking about. We're in week 5 now in the NFL. I always say it's the quarter mark. Now you know who teams are. Mm-hmm. The game gets a little more, I don't want to say predictable, but at least you have a better feel for what's happening. And the Patriots are clearly starting to come round into form as they always do.
And with me, the only things that I have to say about this game, and then we'll move on, is watch out. Because if Brady starts utilizing Gordon, it's going to be scary for the opponent.
It's going to be a national nightmare.
It's going to be terrifying. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out is Tom Brady's stats are a little off this year. He is throwing interceptions at a rate that he has never thrown them before. In all his years, this is by far the most interceptions he's ever thrown per attempt in his career. And it'll be interesting to see if this is something that continues to rear its head or if they correct it and like he corrects this and, now that he has all his weapons going forward. Because it'll be very interesting to see because right now he has 12 touchdowns. We have 6 picks.
It's a good point.
That's like 3.8. per attempt. Interception, it's crazy high.
Yeah, in his defense,
for a guy who's at 1.8 for his career.
In his defense, though, there is not a quarterback I can think of who has had more turnover at that position, wide receiver, than Brady. And I mean, when he threw the touchdown to Gordon, wasn't it like the 70th different receiver in his career that he's thrown a touchdown to? Like that is remarkable when you think about it. I mean, if you really think about it, that's a crazy stat.
Vinny Testaverde or something like that.
I mean, that's
who was a journeyman. He went all over the league.
But what's surprising about it's not surprising with Vinny Testaverde because of what you just said. Right. First of all, he's a journeyman, And he's never been on a team even remotely with the kind of accolades that a guy like Brady has. Brady has been on the same team for almost 20 years. And you would think with all the championships that team has won, that there would be less turnover at multiple positions. But that's not the case. That guy has had to deal with more turnover. I mean, to kind of counter your point, I would say that I think as the season goes on, that will get better because he'll get his timing down with these guys. But if you look at what's happened the last couple weeks, even with that statistic, it's not hurting him. They're still winning they still won their last 2 games, and the Patriots look like the Patriots again. And I can guarantee you tomorrow after the Dolphins go into Cincinnati and get their asses handed to them, that the Patriots are going to be in a tie for first place again. They'll have a tiebreaker. They'll be in first again.
Well,
after at about 4:00 tomorrow afternoon.
We can do this again for the Dolphins.
Not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
That's how losing is done. You're going to find that out tomorrow. Your boy Andy Dalton's going to have a game tomorrow.
All right. So let's get into. It's time for this week's picks. Sunday football. The Bryman has 11 right, as I said before. I am 3 behind him with 8, but I am still so happy, as you talked about my boy, the Red Rifle, just a few seconds ago. He beat Matt Ryan on a late comeback drive. The Red Rifle beating Matty Ice on Matty Ice's home field turf. Yeah. It has to count for me at the end of the year in this bet that we have, because that was huge. He came back and he charged down the field. He made the throw. AJ Green. So good, so good.
Do we have an update, by the way, on that bet? Because, I mean, I know the bet is who's going to finish with the better year statistically, right? So
who has a better year?
Yeah. So, I mean, that we're not just going by team wins. I think this is a head-to-head battle.
It's a head-to-head. I think you take all the major categories. You take wins, you take yards, you take touchdowns, you take interceptions, you take
completions. I mean, I think we have to. Okay, all right. So maybe we need to provide an update on that.
We can make our case at the end of the season, and then we can let the fans, for all I care. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
I mean, unless it's a blowout, unless Andy Dalton throws for 1,000 more yards, or I don't think that's going to happen because Matt Ryan has so many weapons, but and he has terrible defense, so he's going to have to throw a lot. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Your father says cheers.
Yes, he did. Hi, Pop.
All right, so let's get in this. I'll start off first.
Sure.
Let me get a little football music. I don't know if I have any. Let me turn this down a little bit because it's going to be too loud.
It's very loud.
Well, it's loud, but I don't think it's loud on the play. On overall, I don't think it's loud. I think it might be loud on your headset, but we'll see. Can you hear me? Okay. I can't hear you because you must be on mute now. All right, so
I hear you.
I have Vikings versus Eagles. They're in Philadelphia. I'm just going to go into this. Eagles aren't right this season. Early this season, the dreaded Super Bowl hangover is in full effect.
Yes.
Eagles secondary is hot garbage right now, and they are going against 2 of the best wide receivers in the game. So if you have any offensive players on the Vikings going this week in your fantasy leagues, you're likely playing them anyway, but you have to start them. This is a must-be in your lineup this week. As I mentioned, the Eagles aren't quite right this year, and that's basically because of their leader, Carson Wentz, a man that is so tough he uses pepper spray to spice up his takes. And he hasn't played great since he's come back.
That one was actually good. I like that.
I don't expect that.
That's one of your better ones.
Yeah, thank you. My guess is that it's not going to take much longer for him to get on the same page and get right, and get in tune with his offense. But that's not going to happen for another week or two. And I think the Vikings' offense is just so potent that I expect this to be a bit of a shootout. I just don't think that the Eagles their offense has enough bullets in the chamber to put up 35 points on offense, alone. And their defense is so bad, I don't think they're going to help them out much either. And I think that's what they're going to need to do, because I think Kirk Cousins is going to go bananas in this game. 350, plus yards, 3 plus touchdowns, and the Vikings are going to win this 37-27.
Okay.
Who do you got? What's your first game?
Well, so this is a nice segue. Speaking of Falcons, I'm taking Falcons at Steelers, 1:00 game in Pittsburgh tomorrow. It's kind of funny because, I don't like the outlook of either of these teams right now. The Steelers may or may not have gotten some good news earlier this week, but Le'Veon Bell saying he plans to report sometime around week 7. The question is, how will the Steelers even welcome him? Who knows? I would imagine that they'll welcome him with open arms. They'll get past all of the, all the drama. There'll be a little bit of a locker room speech, and everybody will move on, and he'll be back in that starting lineup pretty quickly. Although he better get on a treadmill or something because he's looking plump. But at any rate, this game, though, to me, this game is about location. If this game were in Atlanta, I'd pick the Falcons. It's in Pittsburgh. I'm going with the Steelers. I think the Steelers, I don't trust the Falcons really in any way right now. Yeah, they can put points up, but I don't trust their defense. Nothing has been the same for that Falcons team since Shanahan left town. I know offensively there are weapons, Jones and Ridley, and I think Devontae Freeman is coming back soon if he's not back this week. But I don't like this matchup on the road for them, despite the fact that Pittsburgh's defense is just a complete and total sieve. I still like the Steelers at home, though, in an absolute shootout. 35-33 Steelers in a nail-biter at home.
All right, let me write that down. Falcons, Steelers.
35-33. 35-33 Pittsburgh.
All right. Okie doke. All right, so we'll get into my next game. And you know what? I have to shut this music down for a second.
Okay.
Because I am going with the Jags versus the Chiefs.
Homie, 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 homie,
Pat Mahomey DeClown.
I've showed them the light.
He has shown the league the light this year, but he is not going to go undefeated. And this game right here is the stud quarterback versus the Chiefs. Because for some reason Blake Bortles has played out of his mind this year. But in all seriousness, Pat Mahomey DeClown should, one thing I don't know yet. Should I make it Pat Mahomey as in Holmey or Holmie? Should be IE, right? What do you think? For the hashtags, what do you think?
I don't know.
It's tough. Right?
It's MAHOMES. I guess I would say MAHOMEY. I guess
just a Y, but it's isn't it OLM? Isn't it Mahomes?
MAHOMES.
I thought it was
no. No. It's just Mahomes.
Really?
MAHOMES.
So
yeah,
it's Mahomes. Okay, all right. So just a Y at the end then.
Yeah, I would say just a Y.
All right. Well, now that we got that figured out,
so glad we.
I think this is going to be a big task for Mahomey DeClown this week because this Jags defense, their secondary is top notch. Their pass rush is good, and they aren't afraid of getting physical with any team. This should just be a very interesting game to see because it'll be interesting to see how Pat Mahomes plays against this stout defense. And obviously he played well last week against a Denver Broncos team that was just very good on defense. But this defense is a little different. Their secondary is better. They have one of the best corners in the game. And I just think that, Blake Bortles, he's going to be playing against a craptastic defense in the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's obviously shown that he can put up numbers this year. He is making plays both with his legs and his arm, which is something that I never thought I would say. But, I think it's just going to – I just have a feeling the season's going to kind of balance itself out for the Chiefs a little bit. They're not going to go 16-0. This is going to be the biggest task for him this year so far. Patrick Mahomes, I think he can't keep up against this particular defense. I think he's going to have a good game, but he's going to finally throw a pick. He's not going to have 5 touchdowns. He's going to probably have like 1 or 2, and it's going to be kind of an okay game. He's going to play well, but just not well enough. And I have the Jags upsetting the Chiefs in this game, 25-21. Because I think the Jags defense is just too good, and I think that Blake Bortles he's going to keep playing how he has been this year, which is pretty darn good at quarterback against probably one of the worst defenses in the league.
Okay.
What do you got?
So my next game is another 1 o'clock tilt in Carolina. Giants in an absolute must win. If they want any chance to save their season at all, on the road against the Panthers. And I'll tell you what, I think, and I hate to say it, I think the Giants season pretty much ends tomorrow. It's hard to like their chances in that game. They're missing, again, on defense. Olivier Vernon is out again, which is going to hinder any potential pass rush that they might have. And going up against a guy like Cam, and I know you don't love Cam, but this is a good matchup for Cam.
Norv Turner has kind of made him a little bit more of a dangerous quarterback.
Yeah, and not only that, this is just a bad matchup for them to be going up against a guy like, if you're not going to have a pass rush and you're going to give Cam time in the pocket to survey the field and, between guys like McCaffrey and Funchess, I just don't. And at some point, and actually, Greg Olson's going to be coming back to the Panthers sooner than they thought. Not this week, but I think it's possible that he could even be back next week or even the week after. I would say the week after at latest. And this is just a bad matchup. I don't even know that I'd like the Giants if this game were in New York. I really don't like their chances here in Carolina. They're a 1-3 team. They're incredibly desperate. There's so much pressure on them. I just can't see them coming through. The offensive line has not been great for them, and now they're going up against a really good defense, a top 5 to 10 defense in the league. Mm-hmm. This is just a bad matchup overall for them. It really is, and it probably couldn't have come at the worst time. I mean, really, the Giants could have used a nice. It would have been nice if they had like a nice breather game at home against an inferior opponent. This is not that game. They are on the road against maybe a top 7 or 8 team in the league right now, with one of the top defenses going against a guy in Cam Newton who has played much better, who has a healthy McCaffrey. I just don't see it. I don't see this win for the Giants. And then, in fact, I think it's going to be kind of ugly. I'm going to go with 28-17 Panthers, but I think it might that score will not be really as indicative of how close the game will be, because I really don't think it's going to be that close. Yeah. But I'll say 28-17, and maybe it could be one of those ones where the Panthers get up 21-0, and then they kind of just go on cruise control. So,
right. Well, what you're saying is we shouldn't play this clip.
This isn't a homer pick or anything, but Eli Manning, big stock up.
Yeah, big stock down on Eli. Big stock down on the Giants.
It seems like they need a quarterback sooner than a lot of people thought, or at least the organization, because he is not playing well. There's something missing there, and I don't know what it is. He has a lot of receivers that drop a lot of balls, and on top of that, he also he doesn't make a big play with OBJ very often.
Well, he frankly looks like a 37-year-old quarterback.
He does. He really does. He doesn't look like the 40-year-old Tom Brady for sure. It just doesn't. This might be one of the last 2 seasons we see Eli Manning in the NFL.
It could be over.
All right, so now let's move on to Dallas at Houston, Sunday Night Football. And this is a matchup for me that is going to be under so much pressure. Dak is going to be under so much pressure this week, and it's going to be scary because you have Jadeveon Clowney, J.J. Watt. They are going to abuse the Cowboys' offensive line. And although I think Zeke will have a pretty darn good game this week, I don't expect him to be a lot of rushing yards. I think that they'll probably open up a couple of holes. He'll probably get a couple of good rushing yards, probably in that 60 to 70 realm. I just think Dak is going to have to dump to him a lot. And he's going to get probably 7 to 10 catches in the backfield because his receiving core is terrible. He obviously has to rely on Zeke a lot, and I think that he's going to get a lot of touches there. But I just don't expect the Cowboys defense. Obviously, they've been playing okay this year, but their defense will be run ragged in this game with Deshaun Watson. They don't have anyone who can cover Hopkins. So this could be a long night for Cowboys fans. And if Dak is the real deal, Dak Prescott, that, he's going to have to play big. He's going to have to play really big against the Texans. And I just have never bought into Dak's skill set. I've never bought into his hype. I've always thought he is a decent to good quarterback that with the right tools around him, like Zeke and a couple of decent wide receivers, a good defense, then he'll have success. That's it. Yeah. That's the only way he's going to really have success. He's not like, I think that Jared Goff, I think he is a good quarterback. I think that he's found the right system. He found a head coach that is an offensive-minded head coach, and I think that it's helped Gurley out because he's been so good. His wide receivers, Robert Woods was a decent wide receiver with the Bills. He wasn't great. He got into this system and he's good.
Yeah, he's dynamic in this system.
He's obviously, being helped out by the accuracy of Jared Goff. So there is, there's a lot of things that need to meld together in the right ways, and they've really figured it out there. But in the Cowboys lock, it just doesn't seem like. First of all, they have zero options to throw to. Their wide receiving is terrible. They have no tight end, no good tight end to throw to. They are just in a rough shape on offense. And that I don't expect to change until next year unless some kind of random trade happens and they get a good to top-tier wide receiver. I just don't see it happening. And I think the Cowboys are going to lose this game 30-20. And I think the Texans and Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt are going to have probably somewhere between 4 and 7 sacks this game.
Wow. Well, it has been the past couple of games meet at the quarterback for Clowney and Watt. Watt looks like his old self again. Mm-hmm. Man, when that guy is healthy, he is dangerous. And Clowney is just a disruptor. He really Clowney surprised me, because I was worried about him when he started. All the physical tools were there. I was worried about him more from a mental perspective, but he's really gotten it. His game is complete right now.
Oh yeah.
And him and Watt, if they can be what we all thought they could be, then the Texans can really make a nice run here. It's still early enough in the season too, and the Texans did not bury themselves. I have them winning this game too, by the way, but there are a number of things that would concern me in this game if you're a Cowboy fan. Your defense is not good. If Will Fuller I know is questionable right now, but if he's healthy and he's ready to go, you're going to have all kinds of problems between him and Hopkins. Mm-hmm. There's just going to be nobody to cover these guys. The one thing for the Texans is they got to get Lamar Miller going. Yeah. Lamar Miller's been kind of a disaster. He really has. And actually, in some ways, it kind of goes back to last year, too. He just really hasn't been able to get himself on track very well. I'm not sure why. You would think that with the multitude of weapons that the Texans have, their ability to spread a defense out, and with a guy like Lamar Miller, who's a really good pass-catching running back and a decent running back in his own right, you'd think he'd have more holes and more opportunities and that the field would sort of open up for him. That just has not been the case. He gets stuck at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think that's tough because the offensive line is kind of built for Deshaun Watson, which he's a scrambling quarterback. So it's tough. When they have to they have to block for runs. I think it's difficult. I think they're just not sure how to do it because they're jumping all over the place.
But I'll tell you what, even if Will Fuller doesn't play, and he might not, he's a game time decision. Even if he doesn't play, I don't think it changes the outcome. I think it just changes the score a little bit. But I've got the Texans pretty comfortably in this one. I'm going to go with another 28 score actually, 28-13. I don't trust the Cowboys right now. And I think they're going to get behind early, and then I think Clowney and Watt are going to pin their ears back and just make Dak's life a living hell.
Yeah. Clint actually posted a good comment, and this is something that I didn't think of, but I think it would be a good fit for them, and this would be a good fit for both teams because the Cowboys.
Kelvin
Benjamin to the Cowboys would be a very good fit. That would actually be a very good fit between the Bills. This would help them get to that number 1 pick, which they want, because then they can trade it. But that would be a good pick because that would help them there, and they would get more draft picks because they're not going to look for any talent back. They just want a couple more draft. They want to dominate the draft next year. And,
they've already. And the Cowboys have already made it clear that they're not going to pursue Des Bryant. That's not happening. Right. So, the Cowboys certainly could use it. And if the Cowboys don't want to see their season come to a crashing end, which it may already be heading in that direction anyway, they would maybe be wise to make a move like that.
That was a very good point, Clint. I think that's a good fit for both teams, actually.
I think it would be a good fit for both teams, yeah. Because Benjamin's not going to do anything to help the Bills. Not this year, anyway.
No, there's not much you can do. I mean, I think, I actually expect Rosen to have a good game this week. I think all the rookie quarterbacks could have a decent game. I think that Josh Allen's still going to lose because the Bills just aren't a very good team. But I think that they're all going to have pretty good games this week. So it'll be interesting to see how that all turns out because there are a lot of rookie quarterbacks playing this year, and they all seem to be pretty good. So we'll see how good this class goes going forward. That's going to be very exciting for the league. If this class has 4 Pro Bowl type level quarterbacks come out of it, that could be. Yeah. That's going to be huge for this league because they need somebody to replace the Drew Brees and the Tom Bradys when they leave. And if you have Patrick Mahomes, who was drafted a year ago, and then you have these 4 guys, Allen, Rosen, Darnold, and Baker, those guys, that is a dominant quarterback, just in a couple of years. That's some serious talent. All right. I think that's it for our show. I think that we're done. What do you think? You good?
Yeah, real quick too, I could just mention that WWE Super Show-Down was on this morning. Yes, this morning, because it was live from Melbourne, Australia. This is like a one-off show. It doesn't really necessarily play into like a lot of storylines, but it's just kind of a good event to watch. It was fun. It was entertaining. The big match, the main event, was Triple H and The Undertaker, which Triple H actually won. First time that he's beaten The Undertaker in like 16 years. And there was a lot of outside involvement from Shawn Michaels and Kane. And it's all setting up for more stuff down the road between them. But it was a pretty good event. The match of the night, I think, had to be, or I should say the match of the morning for us, match of the night in Australia, was definitely AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. Really good match. AJ Styles beat him with the calf crusher, and it was fun. It was actually kind of cool to wake up and like put wrestling on at like 7 a.m.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to Mark, right? My son really needed a nap and he wouldn't fall asleep. I turned on your show and he passed out immediately. Thank you, Sports and Sorts.
Great. Wow. That's
the thing I want to talk about is something on my shoulder.
Thanks, Mark.
This guy right here.
Oh, Aquaman.
That trailer was bananas good. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved that trailer, and I was not high on the other stuff that I saw. Whew.
My problem with that trailer was I think it was about 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes too long.
Oh no, I loved it. That got me so fired up for this movie.
That movie is still very high on my list this year. Very, very high. But I will say that this might have tempered my expectations a little bit.
Wow.
There were some, again, I think part of the problem was they showed so much footage and so much like consecutive footage for one particular scene that I almost felt like I was starting to watch the movie. And then it's like you get the rug pulled out from underneath you because it's like, oh, yeah, this is just a trailer. Like they showed that one scene, where he's like running along the rooftop and Mira's running along the rooftop and they're getting shot at. I know, but it was like I felt like I was in the movie because it went on so long. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is just a trailer. I don't even get to watch the rest of it. So I think it was just a little like I just wouldn't have gone that high. That being said, the end when they show him in like the original Aquaman costume, that was great. That was a good way. That was a strong way to end that trailer.
Yeah. I actually like that fight scene because it looked like practically well done, like practical effectively well done. And then on top of that, they used practical effects mixed in the visual effects, the CGI in those two. And I think that's when you really get brilliance. And that looks so cool.
The best part of the trailer, though, for me was when they're in that room and she's got that thing and she's trying to turn it, but she needs water to activate it. And so she
could have just peed on it.
I could have just peed on it. That was good. That was funny. That was funny.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's going to have some humor, and I think that he allows that. He does a pretty good job of that. It doesn't seem like it's going to be forced down our throat too much. It's just going to have key moments where he's going to make you laugh. But yeah, it looks. I was really excited when I saw that. Definitely, really excited.
And what's interesting too is that you have that kind of great trailer come out on a weekend where Venom is sort of all over the map because the critics completely panned it, hated it. You were really hard. I mean, it basically sounds like a mess of a film, but the audience seems to like it.
Which is that?
So, it's
what's that?
Venom.
Venom. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy that the critics just completely annihilated it.
They do that a lot with superhero movies. If it doesn't go to that Marvel Cinematic Universe, formula, it just gets trashed.
Yeah.
So
Clint. Yeah. I saw Clint's comment about Manifest. So yeah, we're 2 episodes into Manifest. I'm still in. I'm still all in. There was a little bit of a twist into this second episode here where there's now this sort of shadowy figure that has emerged. And I think that's going to add an interesting, and I think you can already see kind of where, I think that shadowy figure is essentially the Grim Reaper, but we'll see kind of where it goes. It's been a pretty interesting show, through the first couple episodes. So I'm definitely in on it.
Okay. And we watched Last Man Standing last night.
I got to watch that. I was
prepared.
Bouncing. Okay.
I almost cried.
Oh no.
And my eyes welled up. They did. I'm not ashamed. My eyes definitely welled up a little bit, and I was like, "Woo!" Because I'm just going to let you see it because this is a very important episode.
Okay.
And it shows you how they're taking this. Like there's a certain character that's probably not going to be involved anymore.
Oh no.
That's not. Yeah. But it could lead to some good humor, the way that they're changing it.
Okay.
So it could lead to it. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, definitely watch the episode. You'll have to let me know how you feel towards the end.
Already depressed.
When he has a little bit of a conversation with his daughter Kristen.
As if the outcome of the Yankees game wasn't bad enough. Yeah, now I have to be depressed watching one of my favorite shows. Great.
But
thanks.
It's still fun. It's still fun. And I still am not on board with the new Mandy.
It's gonna take time.
It's good. Yeah, but this is like, at least with the new Kristen, I was kind of like, all right, whatever. She seems to have good chemistry. This chick seems to have no chemistry with this, and it's bad. It's forced. I don't know.
Look, we've had to make these adjustments in shows throughout time. It started with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and the new mom. I mean, we had to make an adjustment to her.
One season though. She only had one season with them, right? Well, how long was she with the show?
Oh no, the new mom?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the original
mom?
Yes. Yeah, the original mom was, she was only 1 or 2 seasons, but you still had to make the adjustment.
Yeah,
yes, I agree. It's a little different.
But they did a pretty good job with Kristen. I wouldn't say great, but they did a pretty good job. And they changed Boyd a bunch of times. I'm fine with the new Boyd. He's fine.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, the kid one actually, those are easier. Those are actually easier to deal with because they grow up. They got to grow. Yeah. So Yeah.
So it is what it is. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll be where are we at? We're leaving. That's what we're doing. Play the music for you, Brian.
Aliens.
You can find the show anywhere podcasts are played, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all those places. You can find us on our website at www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. I wonder if I can do this here. Ready? Watch this. Ready? www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. Can I actually post it and add it? Look at that. Whoa!
Wow, look at you. There it is. Click on that link.
You can't click on the link, but you can on the actual comments. And it takes you to all of our podcasts that have been out there since the beginning, I believe. So You can go there, check those out. You can also find us, like I said, anywhere podcasts are played. This will be uploaded to YouTube a little bit later today. And, of course, it'll be available audio only within about a half hour or so. So if you missed the show, you can always check it out there in your car and all that kind of stuff. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at I'mHornsFinkel.
You can find me on Twitter at _Brian_man. And now we are also helping your children take naps because apparently that's the tenor of the show. So for a nominal fee, we can help your child. We can help put your child down for a 2-hour nap.
Anyway, you can monetize the show, right? So you can also, Facebook.com/Shane and the Bry Man is where we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Mondays and Saturdays at 9:45. Unless you have technical difficulties like today, then we go live around 10:05. 10:10, something like that. Other than that, you can find us on Twitter at Shane and Bryman. Those are all the places you can find us. And thanks again.
You're welcome, Mark.
You're welcome, America. I wonder if it's actually true. Because if it is, that's pretty amazing. What do you think?
It's not the best endorsement for the show.
Well, he's a kid. He needs a nap. It's good that we can give him a nap. He doesn't know what we're talking about. You're all red in the face about talking about the Yankees and the Dolphins and the Patriots.
It's hockey season. Go Hawks.
It's something I do not know anything about. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again on Monday when we talk what we've learned from Sunday, and we will give our Monday Night Football picks. And, of course, we are going to be talking MLB. Postseason is upon us. Hopefully the Yankees won't be down even further in this series, but hopefully it'll be much closer, and hopefully the Bry Man can sing a little bit different of a tune. All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you again. See you Monday.
Stay classy, Planet Globe.
Peace out, guys. Playing the bongos.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can find Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bry Man on iTunes or www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com.